Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson, we'll be going through a very simple, very easy poem, inshallah. It seems to be a lengthy one, but it isn't because it has verses of single line as well. So it's from Songs of Innocence. Sound the flute, now it's mute. Birds delight day and night. Nightingale in the dale, lark in sky, merrily, merrily, merrily to welcome in the year. Little boy full of joy, little girl sweet and small, cock does crow, so do you, merry voice, infant noise, merrily, merrily to welcome in the year. Little lamb, here I am, come and lick my white neck, let me pull your soft wool, let me kiss your soft face, merrily, merrily welcome in the year. Okay, ji. So, Spring is a short lyric poem, and like many poems in this collection, it celebrates the idea of innocence. Blake uses bright and lively images of spring to show this theme. Spring is a season of new life and fresh beginnings, so it naturally represents innocence. This idea is further strengthened by images of a child and a lamb, which are both symbols of purity and innocence. So, this short lyric poem it explores the theme of innocence through bright and lively images which are connected to the spring season. What happens in the poem? Blake mentions many things that are part of spring, such as the nightingale, a little boy, a little girl, a cockerel, and an innocent lamb. So the human world and nature exist together in harmony through pleasant sounds like the flute, the song of the nightingale, the voices of the children, and the crowing of the cockerel. So many of these images appear in the Blake's others poems as well, and he brings them together here to celebrate innocence. The poem celebrates the arrival of spring as joyful time when nature comes back to life, almost like the beginning of a new year. In the end, images such as the crowing of the cock and the kiss of the lamb show a close connection between the child and nature because the poem focuses only on happy and innocent things. After all, it is in Songs of Innocence. It suggests that the speaker does not think about the darker side of life or the changes that time and seasons can bring. With this, we specifically begin with the analysis of the first stanza. Sound the flute, now it's mute. Birds delight day and night, nightingale in the dale, lark in sky, merrily, merrily to welcome in the year. So, in the first stanza of Spring, the speaker, who is a child, asks someone to play the flute because everything around is calm and peaceful. When spring arrives, life begins to become active again, ending the silence of war. The birds in the poem are happy both day and night, showing that the spring season has come and brought joy to them. The nightingale flies in the valley while the lark returns to the sky. So these birds appear happily as if they are welcoming the arrival of spring. So the line sound the flute is a call to start music and celebrate the arrival of spring. It suggests that nature is waking up after winter. Okay, and the next line, now it's mute, means that the flute was silent before this moment. In other words, during winter there was no music, joy, or lively action. So the world was quiet and still. But now that spring has arrived, the speaker is asking for the flute to be played again. So spring is described as a season full of sweet sounds, music, birds singing, and fresh greenery. The presence of birds like the nightingale and lark also shows that spring has arrived. Stanza 2. Little boy full of joy, little girl, sweet and small. Cockroach crow, so do you. Merry voice, infant noise, merrily, merrily to welcome in the year. In this stanza, the speaker describes the happiness of a little boy, a little girl, and a cockerel. So the cockerel crows loudly with joy, showing excitement for the arrival of spring. And the poem suggests that people also feel great happiness when they hear the cockerel crowing. So their joy becomes so great that it seems to have no limits. So through sound images such as merry voice and infant noise, the poet shows children happily shouting and playing. These joyful sounds express how everyone warmly welcomes the spring coming of spring. With this, we move on to the third and the last stanza. Little lamb, here I am. Come and lick my white neck. Let me pull your soft wool. Let me kiss your soft face, Mary, Mary, as we welcome in the year. So, in the third stanza of Spring, the poet shows the close relationship between the child and the lamb. Both the child and the lamb represent innocence and purity. The child invites the lambs to lick his or her white neck, where the color white symbolizes innocence. So the child also offers to pull the lamb's wool, which suggests the beginning of the spring season when the wool of the sheep are usually trimmed. The image of the child and the lamb playing together highlights joy, innocence, and happiness. Words like white neck, soft wool, and soft face emphasize their gentleness and tenderness. At the same time, these descriptions also suggest that both the child and the lamb are delicate and vulnerable. With this, we move on to the themes of the poem. First, in this poem, what are the themes doing? The themes they help us understand why the poet wrote these poems. Okay, and the main themes in this poem are childhood, innocence, and nature. Each theme is shown clearly through the images and events in the poem. So the first theme is childhood. The poem shows childhood as a time of happiness and freedom. The presence of the little boy and the little girl represents the joyful and playful nature of children. Their voices and laughter show how children enjoy the arrival of spring and new life it brings. Second literary device happens to be innocence. Innocence is an important theme in the poem. The child and the lamb both symbolize purity and gentleness. Their playfulness interaction shows a world that is simple, kind, and untouched by the by the problems of the adulthood. So Blake celebrates this innocent state as something pure and beautiful. So nature is presented as lively and joyful during spring. Birds such as the nightingale and the lark, along with the lamb and other natural sounds, show how nature comes after winter. The poem suggests that humans and nature exist together in harmony, sharing the same happiness when spring arrives. Next theme is setting of spring. As the title suggests, the poem is set in the spring season, a time of new life and fresh beginnings. The many images used by the poet, such as singing birds, playful children, and gentle birds, help readers clearly imagine the lively and cheerful atmosphere of spring. Okay, so with this, we move on to the poetic devices. The first one is imagery. In Spring, which is written by William Blake, the poem is simple but it uses several literary devices. These devices help readers better understand the poet's ideas and feelings. Okay, so first literary device is imagery. Imagery is used to create clear pictures in the reader's mind. In the poem, Blake uses images such as the flute, day and night, the little boy, and the lamb. These images help readers imagine the joyful and lively atmosphere of spring. They also connect this poem with other poems in Blake's collection, like Introduction, The Little Boy Lost, The Little Boy Found, and The Lamb, where similar images appear. With this, we move on to the next little device, which happens to be allusion. Allusion is when a writer indirectly refers to other works or ideas. In the poem, Blake includes references that remind readers of his own other poems. Images such as a playing a wind instrument, day and night, the little girl, merry voices, infant noises, licking, a white neck, and little lambs echo themes and images found in other poems in the same collection. So these collections help strengthen the theme of innocence and joy. The next literary device is a refrain. A refrain is a line or a group that is repeated in a poem, usually at the end of a stanza. So in this poem, the line merrily, merrily to welcome in the year is repeated. The repetition goes, the repetition gives the poem a musical and song like rhythm and emphasizes the joyful welcome of the spring season. The last literary device is symbolism. Blake also uses symbolism in the poem. The cockerel, lamb, and children symbolize innocence and purity. The lamb specially represents gentleness and vulnerability. It can also remind readers of Jesus Christ symbolism. The child also represents the innocence because children are naturally pure, gentle, and unaware of shame. Through these symbols, Blake highlights the innocent and hopeful spirit of spring. With this, we move on to the form and structure of the poem. Spring is a lyric poem written by William Blake. The speaker of the poem is a child, which is common in many poems from Songs of Innocence. Because the speaker is a child, he or she describes the beauty and happiness of spring without thinking about how difficulties of winter in the past or the future. So, without thinking about the difficulties of winter in the past and the future. So the poem has 27 lines divided into three stanzas with 9 lines each. In the first stanza, the child welcomes the arrival of spring and breaks the silence of winter. So in the second stanza, the speaker talks about a little boy and little girl and their happy, innocent voices. In the third stanza, the speaker describes the the lamb, which represents the highest form of innocence and expresses the desire to celebrate spring with all four innocent things. So, the last line of each stanza is repeated, which emphasizes the joy and excitement the speaker feels about the season. Poem uses simple language and an easy rhyme scheme, which makes it pleasant and enjoyable to read. The rhyme scheme in the first stanza is double A, double B, double C, D, E, F, and it changes slightly in the following stanzas. So there are irregularities in rhyme scheme and there are क्या कहते हैं slant rhymes also present. Although the poem mostly follows a simple rhyme pattern, there are some irregularities and slant rhymes. Slant rhyme occurs when words sound similar but do not rhyme perfectly. Blake likely uses these slight variations to make the poem sound more natural and song like rather than mechanically perfect. So, the small irregularities also reflect the spontaneous voice of a child. Since children's songs and rhymes often do not follow strict poetic rules. So this looseness in rhyme helps create a playful, lively rhythm, watching the joyful atmosphere of spring. With this, we move on to the meter of the poem. So the meter of the poem is not completely regular, but it is generally based on trochaic rhythm, यानी कि a stressed syllable which is followed by unstressed syllable. The example is sound the flute. Sound and flute both are stressed over here. So the pattern often resembles trochaic, dimeter or trimeter, though Blake varies it throughout the poem. पता है ना कि जिसके अंदर लास्ट अनस्ट्रेस वाला जो फुट होता है उसको गिरा देते हैं. So the verse begins with both Apna a stress syllable and ends also with stress syllables. Okay. तो ये जो पैटर्न है दिस रिजेंबल्स ट्रोकेइक डायमीटर और ट्राइमीटर दो ब्लेक वेरीज इट थ्रू आउट द पोयम. तो ये सारा जो मीटर है व्हाट डज इट सजेस्ट. It suggests the ये जो the short and lively rhythm makes the poem feel like a song or children's chant, and the irregular meter adds energy and movement, reflecting the liveliness of spring. So, Alhamdulillah, we're done with this poem. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask.